Chris Megan fishing along the Elizabeth Islands. Oh, man. That is a cool
They are all beauties.
Through each quaint town we traveled, our anticipation grew for the day of fishing that lay ahead on the Connecticut River. We had run in and out of pockets of fog on our way down from Cape Cod, but with the Chester-Hatline ferry just ahead of us and the sun trying to break through, it looked like the fishing gods were going to shine down on us. It had been nearly a year since the last time I carp fished for big mirror carp on Rhode Island, but on this occasion it wasn't mirror carp we were after, but instead big common carp that called the Connecticut River home. I fished the Connecticut River before, from New Hampshire and Vermont through Massachusetts and into Connecticut, but I had never targeted carp on the river, and so the stories I had heard of 30-plus pound carp surely had me more than intrigued. Having landed on the Chester side of the Connecticut River, it was but a short jaunt from the ferry landing to an old farm where we would set up camp on the bank of the river. It was there I would meet Iain Sorrell, one of the finest carp fishermen across the world, and certainly worthy of putting us on some beautiful common carp.
You've had some great luck during the night. Big fish at 31 pounds.
Yeah, my colleague Santosh landed, got here and within 15 minutes had a 31-pound, 14-ounce carp on the bank, which was just extraordinary.
We're hoping that happens for us. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to get into some rigging. Iain, walk us through the rigging.
These Connecticut River fish are potentially quite big fish, and they're hungry fish. This is a size 6 long shank hook. And what we've done is we've actually extended the hook a little bit. This is called a liner. And what it helps to do is just swing and turn. As it turns, it will start to hook into the fish's lip. So is we take this PVA mesh, which is a water-soluble mesh, and we've got a mixture of seeds and flavors in here. We put it on a baiting needle.
A little skewer there.
Try not to put it through our fingers. And then slide that onto the loop here. And then that just slides down. And then to finish that off, I've got a little plastic tube which helps to
protect the
whole thing, and it actually also slides over a clip on the swivel that I have on the main part of the rod.
There's a whole art to this, and I know that obviously coming over from England, I'm sure you've been carp fishing well before you came here to the States. This is the #1 popular freshwater fish in the country, in the world, I should say, not in the United States.
Yeah, in the world.
But it's very quickly becoming a bigger
believe
sport
it or not,
here in the States.
in Europe, it's now a $6 billion industry. And,
striped bass is not even a $6 billion industry.
And yeah, really, the most exciting thing is we probably have more carp here in New England than most of Europe.
So this is the equivalent of like an oversized kind of 10 or 11 foot surf rod. The action on this is going to be throughout the entire rod, from the tip all the way down through the base. And the reason for that is a fast action rod will end up pulling this thing right through its lip. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through some of this soft mud in the Connecticut River. Wow, that really goes, huh? I'm going to walk this. Grab this and right in here. We gotta run.
All right, here we go. We can pump these fish, and I've got the clutch set relatively light.
And with a little bit of current, you can feel that going through. I saw a log just drifting along.
It's moving very quick, and that's why we need 5 ounces of lead or heavier.
Looking at the size of the net, you can put a 5th grader in that, you know?
Well, when you see the potential of some of the fish here, I mean, the carp record is 43 pounds.
Wow.
It was a huge fish.
For so long, carp are looked at almost as a trash fish. And only in the last 5 to 10 years has it really started to take on a game fish status.
So
time to go to the fish right now.
Yeah, we're going to have to move out towards it. You ready? Got it.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
All right, so first carp already in the net. Beautiful fish.
So this is a 24 mil boiled bait, and that's what this fish took.
So that's just helping it float right up off the bottom.
You got it?
That's so
great. Just get this out of the way.
There you go. You're out of the way that way.
You want to take that fish up on the bank?
Sure.
Okay. So it's not a huge fish, but this is probably a low double, so 12. They estimate there's something like 20 million anglers in Europe, and about 40% of those people are fishing exclusively for carp.
For those people out there that think, well, geez, carp, kind of a trash fish that way, far from it, guys. When you consider $6 billion industry in Europe, and I'll tell you, it's coming this way.
And it's a fish that fights as hard as a striped bass.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it grows as big, and it's in fresh water, right on your doorstep.
Very
Time for him to go back in the water.
Let's get him back in the water. These fish are very opportunistic as far as they'll eat anything that they find on the bottom that's edible.
It turned around, and
Here he
there
goes.
it is.
Guys, fishing the Connecticut River, not for shad, not for striped bass, but for carp, big carp. Last night, these guys picked one up over 30 pounds. That was a beautiful common carp. We're gonna go ahead and rig again, set it back out there, see if I can't get on one of these. Hang with us.
With our first common carp safely slipping its way back into the Connecticut River, it was time to reset the lines as Mother Nature delivered on her promise of early morning showers. Our hope was the light rain would turn the bite on, and it certainly didn't disappoint.
These are 16 mil size baits. But what I like to do with these, and this is a very interesting piece of equipment,
Is this something to sling them?
this is called a throwing stick. And
As opposed to
this is
whooping
actually
stick.
made out of carbon fiber. It's incredibly light.
So you're gonna just, you're gonna load this thing up,
We can launch them.
and you're launching it almost like you would a lacrosse ball.
That's exactly the technique.
That's cool.
And we just basically, we can put one or a number in here. And this is a really excellent food source as well. So it's actually quite nutritious for the carp. So we're not doing them any harm.
And let's
give
get
it a
some out
fire.
there. Let's
So-
see how far we can throw them. All right, first time. That's what
happens. They might come and eat that later.
it looked a lot easier. All right, that's embarrassing.
You play darts.
I do.
So when you throw a dart, it's that little wrist movement at the end.
So when I'm throwing it like this, it just.
So if imagine you're trying to hit the top of those trees.
Okay.
So we'll put a.
I'm gonna-
No, you can.
Just let me start with 1 or 2 so I don't throw 6 of them into the water.
We
again.
all do that. We all do
All
that
right,
to
ready?
begin with. Yeah, you're going to stop it here like hammering a nail. Yes!
There it goes.
went.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Again, it's another part of the armory, another excuse to spend lots and lots of money on carp fishing. Yeah.
Now, any fish that come in we pick up in this area, fish on. I'll get one more.
Yeah, come on. You're in.
There he is, right on the surface.
Let me grab the net.
I'm fishing the equivalent of a 12-foot surf rod. It's got action all the way through from the tip down to the base. As Iain was saying, if the action's too fast, you'll have a tendency to rip the hook right out of the lip of these fish.
Oh, there he is.
There he just rolled on the surface.
They tend to be similar sized fish to begin with. Schools of fish of the same size will come through, and then you might get a rush of 3 or 4 fish over 20 pounds. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that happens soon. Ethan had 6 over 20 yesterday, and then Santosh came down and within 15 minutes had a 31-pound fish on the
Isn't that
bank.
the way
which
it is,
just,
though?
it's incredible.
I'm going to walk
It's
him right
incredible.
into you. I'm going to back up and see if we can't just bring him.
Keep his head up. And we're in.
All right.
Another good fish. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I think it was the baiting technique that Iain did, not mine.
When do you get the opportunity to catch fish that are 10, 11 pounds and put up a great scrap? To think this is a trash fish, it's so sad.
But I think that's part of it is the education.
Carp coexist with all the native species extremely well.
Yeah, so they're not
Certainly-
that kind of invasive
They're
species
not
that just
really,
wipes out other.
That's right, and a lot of the misunderstandings about fish like carp roiling up the water and clouding up the water and digging up all the native plants really is not necessarily true. What they're starting to find now is that when you get big carp in the water, you get big other species. The small carp help to feed the predatory fish, and even the carp spawning, all that spawn, sunfish,
They're
all the other
absolutely
species,
coming
they eat all that. And
How old will a fish this size be?
probably 3 to 4 years.
We're going to walk this guy out. We're going to get him back in the water. These fish are very hardy, and that's the only reason we're having this longer conversation before we release them.
Look at that.
Put him down right there. This guy is just ready to
He's
go
ready to go.
already. There you go. Thanks again.
Hey, you're
Oh.
welcome. We'll get a big one next.
All right, let's rip
All right.
the bait. It's addictive. So Ian, we just picked up a fish, but now we have a different rig.
Yeah, this is basically what we call a boilie. It's a dough bait. It's a combination of flours, but they mix it with eggs. So you'll take a mix of these flours and break some eggs into it, roll them up into a dough paste, but then drop it into boiling water for about a minute. And that makes the egg
Gives it
set.
yeah, okay.
And you can feel how hard that
Well,
is.
when I first saw this thing, I was looking at it, I thought it was some kind of a synthetic. It was that hard.
We can do all sorts of flavors, from fruit flavors to curry paste, you name it.
So let's get this guy rigged
Yeah.
up and show me how we rig
So
this.
what we do is we take our baiting needle and we pop that through here. And then we have the hair, which is, so
Yep.
the bait's not attached to the hook.
The hair's always
So-
hanging below the hook.
hanging below, and-
So that can swing.
So that can swing, and really this is what revolutionized carp fishing. Beforehand we had baited hooks, and you would have to sit right by your rod for hours on end. Those carp, when they pick up and feel the hook, they could
Spit that thing
they
out.
could spit it right out. I'm gonna put this little plastic stopper in, and this just holds the bait in position. What we have, when the fish picks up the bait, it can't crush this in its lips.
Yeah.
It's just too hard.
Right.
So what it does is it tries to push it right back to the crushing area, which automatically drags the hook in. And then what happens is, by the time the hook's in its mouth, it realizes
This is not right.
This is not right.
You're
So it then
pulling
tries
it.
to spit the bait out. And carp have got very, very powerful suction and
Injection of
and
the-
ejection capabilities. So they try to blow this bait back out, but all that happens is it pivots around on the hook. And actually what it does then is the force of that
Just
being blown out, it will pull the hook
Pull
in.
it right in. Fish on.
Fish on.
I'm gonna go now. I got him.
There you go. Nice job, well done.
What was the name of this? You said it earlier.
This is actually called a spawn. So we just put the bait in, close it, there's a little catch, and then when it hits the water, it will fall
As
out.
soon as it, especially here with the current,
Yeah.
it'll help disperse that across the entire bottom. I can't wait to get this thing out there. I want to take a few casts later on with this thing and try the mini Hindenburg that's going to be
Yeah.
dispersing. So as soon as it hits out there, it's going to release, open up. Incoming. Spawn.
Right there.
That's perfect, huh?
So that's about where we have that line. And the great thing is we can just wind this
So
straight
as
back
soon
in.
as it
and
hits, it's already released.
Yep.
So if you wanted to go back and load it up again, you could throw one
we can
over
just
this
keep doing
way.
that all day long.
How much is an outfit like this if you were to rig it?
The rods sell for about $200 each.
Yeah.
The reels I think are about 139, 140
Which is
bucks.
really extremely affordable.
It's not
that way.
bad. Then we get onto the more expensive side of things. These
Electronics
alarms.
now.
These alarms you can buy. If you're starting out, you can buy a basic alarm for about 25 bucks. These are somewhat different in that they can transmit to a remote receiver, and these run at about 180 bucks a piece. So we've got 3 of those.
So for Ian's wife at home, like an expensive pair of shoes. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
An
Yeah.
expensive pair. That's one pair of shoes. That's another pair of shoes.
But we get to use this a lot more often.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly
you
right.
don't use this just once. It doesn't
That's
sit in
right.
the wardrobe all the time. It's out
Right.
on the bank fishing. And then we have a rod stand here. And again,
This is very classic, I can tell. Huh? We
Yeah.
didn't see you set it up, but I imagine this breaks down
the
to
great thing
nothing.
about this one is it packs down into a little pack like this. So it's stainless steel, it withstands all the elements, but it does pack down, and you can create this into a variety of configurations.
Fish on.
It's probably one
There
of
we
the-
go.
Did you see that go a couple of minutes
I
ago?
did, yeah, like just a little nudge, huh? You think about the Connecticut River and the opportunities that exist between the mouth of it and all the way up.
Oh, it's extraordinary. I mean, was it 400 and something miles?
All the way up and through Vermont. But that guy just hunkered down, huh?
Oh, it's that's what makes me think this is. We haven't had one do this
No.
quite like this. All right, just keep that. Just stay still. I'll bring the fish to you. Okay, hang on. That just. Ooh.
Got him now.
No, no.
Whoa! Right there.
That fish just rolled and turned at the last moment.
You know what it is?
That was a nice fish.
Yeah, it was a nice fish.
That was a nice fish. Well, let's get another one.
So we're getting a little bit more of an afternoon bite right now. Seems like in the last half hour, 45 minutes, things have picked up a little bit more. Ethan's on a fish here. He had one on about 5 minutes ago, popped off. Well, they're feisty at the end, huh? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You got it. No, were you out far or were you in a little closer?
I kept it in a little closer.
Yeah, it seemed like the last one. Ian threw out two. One he kept in a little closer, and that was the one that seemed to go off. With the tide coming in, this is tidal water we're fishing on the Connecticut River. What's really cool about this fishery is that you have the opportunity to get into striped bass, bluefish, carp. You get pike in here. We'll get this guy back in the water. We'll let him swim off. He's ready to go right away. Fish on?
Fish on. The guy I fished with back in the UK came up with a technique called the pyramid baiting technique. He'd been watching one of these wildlife movies and he'd watched how animals came down to the watering hole and how the bigger animals would push out the smaller ones. So he figured that he could probably do that with carp. So what he decided to do is to put a lot of feed corn in over a couple of weeks period, and they pushed out the smaller fish, and it was so successful. People actually didn't believe what he was catching. Hang on.
Nice. There you go, Santos.
They're in. Excellent.
All right, bring him in. Want to put a weight on him? Let's see what he looks
Let's
like.
see what he weighs for fun. There we go. Just slide him straight in. Perfect. 15, 16 perhaps. Oh, not even that. 13 pounds.
Well, that's a beautiful fish, huh? Hang with us, guys. We're gonna need another one. So you've been down here since Friday night. How many fish have you had so far?
75, 80 maybe.
75 to 80 fish, guys. We're on the Connecticut River. That seems like it's got a good tail to it. Come on, walk out to him. Beautiful fish, great colors on them. Look at that guy. Nice job, beautiful fish. So Ethan, you were talking earlier that you've kept a log since you started here on Friday, and here we sit on Tuesday. Walk me through the log and who's done what.
E is for myself, Mike, Justin, and Chris.
And Mike holds the state record at.
Yep, Mike's 43.8, I think.
Wow.
We started Saturday morning.
Yeah, okay.
11.
And so on that day alone, he did what looks like about 179 pounds of fish on Saturday. And just yesterday alone, in his logbook, I think it's just impressive when you consider that he got in at 8 o'clock. Ethan started at 8, lines out at 10:57, 170 pounds, and 6 fish, all at that 20-pound class and up in 3 hours.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Oh, fish on. Grab it. Okay, so just wind on to that to pick it up. Just pick up the rock. Just lift it.
Just lift that right out?
And
Okay.
then just wind onto it. You're in.
Here we go.
Excellent.
Here he goes. He's
There we
taking
go.
off.
Once they fill that hook, they can take 20, 30 yards of line quite quickly.
Yeah, he did. Right when I got on it, he was just going.
And you can just wind right the way down and slowly lift up. It's nice and steady. Yeah, well, let's walk towards him a
Walk to
little
him
bit.
in case we have to go over the top of that.
Yeah. It looks like a nice fish as well. And we're in.
Oh, great.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Excellent. Good job.
All right,
Good
that's
job.
great. That's a beautiful fish, huh?
It's a gorgeous fish. This is a very nice fish.
But is there a water temperature that really kind of turn on?
My preference is anything from 50 upwards. This is a very nice fish. I mean, you can start to see this might actually go 20 pounds.
Do we want to walk him in and then we'll
Yeah,
release
we'll
him?
walk him in and I'll put him into the
The sling and see if we can get a weight on this guy and then we'll get him back in.
Yep.
That is a beautiful fish. I don't know if you can see the size of the shoulders. Boy, that's close to 20. That's
It's
like
probably
18,
19 pounds. So
Fishing the Connecticut River, Chris Megan, Iain Sorrell. Iain, I can't thank you enough for getting us out here like that.
he's ready to go, I think.
Yeah, let's do that. Do you just kind of like keep them upright, hold them
Yeah,
a
I
little
like
bit?
to just keep them upright, let them kind of get their breath back, as it were. They'll give a couple of shakes and start to swim off like that. And there he goes.
That's cool. Look at that.
Oh, we've got another fish going off over there, so they've arrived.
That's a pretty big swirl.
Oh, it's a nice fish. There you go.
I'm gonna get out there a little bit. I'm gonna go now. I got him.
There you go. Nice job. Well done.
Good job.
Felt like a stick for a long time. Your dead weight is just floating downstream.
That's awesome. A healthy stick, though.
Yeah, he's fat.
Look at that.
I'm gonna go with 20.
I think he might just scrape 20.
Iain calibrated the scale based on the weight of the net.
24.2.
Yeah, this fish is way bigger than 18.
I thought it was 20.
There we go. 24 pounds, 2 ounces. And that's what makes it so good. We've got the calibrated scale, state of Connecticut calibration.
So if you were to catch a world record out here, or a state record,
Yeah.
I should say, you could go ahead and take the photos, take the shots,
Yeah.
submit all of that information with a calibrated scale, and you'd be all
And
set.
it's one of the great things the fisheries guys here in Connecticut allow us to do.
Having fished many sections of the 410-mile Connecticut River from its headwaters just south of the Canadian border to Long Island Sound, this trip to Chester, Connecticut for big common carp would certainly be a memory I would hold for a lifetime. Set with its beautiful backdrop just a stone's throw from the Chester Hatline Ferry, the lower Connecticut River offers some of the best carp fishing in North America, and I would highly recommend our on-the-water viewers and readers to add it to their bucket list.